One wall to do it all. TV unit, office, storage. If you thought these shelves were unaffordable, you're not wrong. This is the project that will solve everything and most of all, be cute. But let's see if I can do it cheaper. All right, so in this video, I am making a statement piece that is really more like 3 big pieces in one. And on their own, each of them kind of uninspired, but all together, we are making magic. This is Claire's space, and she is a bubbly, creative, lovely lady with a love for all things MCM and retro, but this wall behind me really does not reflect any of that right now. This wall is screaming out for a wall shelf, a TV unit, and a desk, so here's how I plan to do it. Okay, so first off, I need a really cool piece of furniture for her TV to sit on. And I've got my eye on this piece on Marketplace, so fingers crossed that the seller actually gets back to me. Because then I want to create a wall shelving system that feels really cohesive with that piece. So I want to grab some 1x2 wood pieces to use as vertical supports or strapping, and then grab some inexpensive IKEA brackets that are going to get attached to that strapping, and those are going to hold our shelves. This is a really cool way to mimic those really gorgeous MCM modular wall shelves without having to spend thousands on a vintage piece. I also want to create a small desktop area just for some light computer work and crafting. And also build a little storage cubby to give Claire some hidden storage. So if I want to accomplish all of that in like the next week or so, I think I need to go get some supplies. Little man. Look at his paws. And then over here, we've got Miso. Hi, Miso. You guys, one of the really nice things about doing makeovers in Toronto is that you're never really that far away from an IKEA. So I'm actually on my way home from Claire's, and I'm gonna pop in here to grab a bunch of the Perschult brackets that are going to be instrumental for this project, okay? Ha! Just kidding, I don't even have my bag on me. I decided to pull a Kelsey and start my search in the as-is section. And there were so many good things in as-is today, just unfortunately not the product I was looking for. Also, a quick hydration break that I immediately regretted. Does anyone else not love the taste of tap water, or is that just me? I love her. The lights, the wood, I love her. Even though this is my inspiration shelf, there is another design that is still peak mid-century modern design, and it's gonna be a whole lot easier to emulate using the IKEA brackets. And that would be the one by the Danish designer Paul Padovius. His designs have been described as a perfect harmony between form and function, industrial and organic, affordable and elegant. Well, affordable may have been true back in the day, but these days it's going to be a whole lot cheaper to build something similar than to buy an authentic piece. These Perschult brackets are going to give us the exact look we're going for, and they're only $5. But because of how big the shelf is going to be, I am going to need a lot of these, so I pretty much cleared the inventory from this IKEA. And you know what else is on my way home? That's right. Since the basic design of this shelf consists of taking those metal brackets that we just picked up and attaching them to some strapping pieces on the wall, I am gonna pick up some 1x2s for the strapping and some plywood for the shelves. Always bring your gloves if you wanna keep your hands pretty. So like I said, I'm going to make my shelves out of plywood, but you could totally pick up solid wood if you wanted. They have things like these laminated project panels or hobby boards. That would be a great option, except you might end up with a little bit of a gap in your brackets at the back if they're not quite the right size. The beauty of making mine out of plywood is that I can cut them to the specific size that I need. I could also use plywood for the strapping, but using this dimensional lumber is going to save me a lot of time and work at home. I'm also getting the plywood cut down at Home Depot to a size that will fit in my car. Think smarter, not harder, people. That is it. That is perfect. Thank you so much. I also needed to grab a few more supplies while I'm here, but I will tell you about those later.
Oh, I'm okay, thank you. Sure. Appreciate it, though. Yeah.
Why is everybody being so nice? Do we look like extra cute today or something? Okay, you guys, I got my lumber and supplies from IKEA and the hardware store, and update, the Marketplace seller got back to me. We got the TV unit, so that is friggin' exciting. Actually wasn't that far from Kelsey, so she agreed to pick that up for me. And other than that, I think we're all good to go. Before I start to build anything, one of my big concerns is matching the stain color on all of our wood pieces. I grabbed a drawer from Kelsey, so I've got the color of the TV unit that we want to match. I'm gonna be testing each stain on the plywood and the strapping and the edge banding because every type of wood takes the stain differently. And while I'm testing out these stains, I wanna tell you about something that has really saved me this summer, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, Glacier Fresh. Okay, you guys, summer here in Toronto has been so freaking hot this year. I need to remember to drink enough water because a dehydrated Rochelle is definitely a cranky Rochelle. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of picky when it comes to drinking water. I don't love the taste of tap water, and I really don't love drinking water that's not cold. I also refuse to buy bottled water, so if the fridge filter has not been filled in a while, I'm definitely not gonna wait for it all to drip through and then chill. So I'm probably just gonna decide that it's not worth the effort and I'm gonna go thirsty. So my mom and I decided to try out a countertop cold water dispenser, and honestly, it's been kind of a game changer. I know that having to wait a little bit for cold filtered water is like the definition of a first world problem, but drinking water is so important to every aspect of your overall health that making a small change like always having that cold water at your fingertips can make a huge difference. I know I feel 10 times better when I drink enough water in a day. This dispenser gives me access to cold water instantly, no waiting, because for me, waiting is the enemy of actually doing something. It also filters out things like microplastics and lead while leaving the good minerals. And no offense to Toronto tap water, the taste of water is surprisingly a major deal breaker for me, and when it's from the dispenser, it actually tastes smoother. We have been using this literally every day this summer, especially in this heat. It's one of those small upgrades that just makes summer feel better, and I want you guys to feel better too. So if you want better tasting cold water instantly, I've got an exclusive code just for you. If you use my code SORRY when purchasing Glacier Fresh products through the link in the description or by scanning this QR code, you will get 20% off. Oh God, stain on the, no. Okay, I have to let these stain tests dry before I know what the actual color will be, so I think I'm gonna call it a day. Using these IKEA brackets is going to make this project super easy. The only problem is that they only come in white, and that just is not the vibe for this particular project. If this is starting to look familiar to you, that is because Becky came up with this idea when she did her walk-in closet back in the day. You might have also noticed something similar not too long ago when Kelsey and Becky were working on Paige's Cool Girl apartment. And in that project, they opted to leave the brackets white, so you totally can if that's your vibe. But with the silver that is on the TV unit that we got, I think I'm gonna go ahead and paint mine silver. I'm also gonna scuff up the brackets with a little bit of sandpaper just to give the paint something to stick to. I wanna do this now just to give my brackets the most amount of time for the paint to cure, so hopefully we can prevent chipping. Becky also introduced me to this brilliant bit of thinking in her video where she screwed all of the brackets down to wood so that she could get all sides of the bracket that show and the screw heads all in one go. Okay guys, so it was just way too hot outside to keep going with this up there. So I came inside, took a little break, then I got all of my brackets set up and ready for painting. And then I took them outside in the evening when the wind had calmed down and the temperature dropped a little to get my painting done. These brackets had a lot of surface area to cover, so I really tried my hardest to paint every part that shows. Picking up the boards to get different angles definitely helped with this. Good morning, you guys. I took the opportunity to cut all of my plywood down to the depth that I want it to be. And so because I was cutting the length of the plywood, the direction the grain is going, that is called rip cutting. So I ripped all of my pieces to width. So if I had the hardware store cut all of my pieces of plywood down to width, this is probably the state it would be in that I would have come home from the store. I didn't, because I wanted my measurements to be precise, and I apparently don't trust anyone but me and maybe Paul, my boy Paul from Home Depot. But anyways, I wasn't at that Home Depot. But this means that now it is time to cross-cut all of my pieces to length. So that means going across the grain, and I'm gonna be making all of these pieces shorter. And I think I'm gonna start with the piece for the desktop. So in order to make this crosscut, if you've got a circular saw and a straight edge, you are good to go. I just happen to have a track saw, and that's gonna help me break these down a little bit quicker, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that. So this started off as a piece that was about 20 inches wide out of the 8-foot long piece of plywood, and it is 3/4 of an inch thick. Now, I do not want my desktop to be 3/4 of an inch thick. I want it to be 1.5 inches. So I cut this piece in half so I can actually double it up and make a double thick desktop. In order to do that, I'm going to glue these two pieces together. I like to add a bunch and then spread it out using this ink roller. I find this gives me the best coverage with the least amount of mess. Then I added the second board on top and clamped and weighted everything down to dry. So while our desktop is drying, I want to, stop it. I want to continue on with another piece for the desk itself, because what is a desk if you don't have a little bit of storage for your pencils, scissors, stapler, all of that. So I want to add a little drawer to the underside of our desktop. And to do so, I have these, I want to call them like Euro slides. They're very much like what comes in IKEA furniture, but you can get these on their own online or from the hardware store. And I actually pulled these off of an old project that I did maybe 6 years ago that I wasn't in love with anymore. So I just kind of pulled it apart and saved the hardware. But yeah, basically I'm gonna cut down this board to the dimensions of our drawer piece, and we are gonna make a drawer and install some drawer slides. See, Finn might give me headbutts. Oh, but so does Lou. And Lou comes to visit me in the workshop. I love you. Hi. Oh no, changed your mind. Okay. So for my drawer box, that is the little cubby that the drawer is gonna go into, not the drawer itself, I have my 4 pieces of wood cut, and I think to construct this, I'm actually gonna keep it really, really simple. I'm just gonna do some countersunk pilot holes and some screws in the top and bottom, and that will come in handy a little bit later. Okay, so now that I have my drawer cubby built and it's looking good, I'm actually gonna go ahead and take it all apart because I want to install the drawer slides onto the side pieces while they're laying flat. I may not remember exactly how to install these drawer slides, but I do remember that they came from the brand Rochelle, which means I can look up the instructions online and figure out the exact measurements I need so that this goes smoothly. Now I'm making the drawer that will go inside of the box I just made. Again, I'm just cutting everything down to size, and I made sure to add the drawer slides to the side pieces before screwing everything together. Now to see if my math actually math. Huh? Backwards. I just gotta take these and put them further back. What's a drawer without a bottom? I'm cutting out some rabbets for the bottom of the drawer to sit in. A rabbet, in this case, being a groove cut along the edge of the wood, not in fact a little fluffy woodland creature. Then I'm cutting a scrap piece of MDF to size because I don't need to use the expensive plywood for a drawer bottom. Then, with some glue and nails, I can attach the bottom to the drawer. Time to give this drawer a front to finish it off. I just made sure to give some allowance on all sides so it has room to slide in and out easily. Now that the glue has had time to dry, I can trim down the tabletop so all of the edges are perfect. When you're gluing two pieces together, it is really hard to make sure all of the edges line up, so I always just give myself some allowance. I need to notch out a small area on the corners and the center of the desktop for the strapping to sit in. This way the desk can sit nice and flush against the wall. So I flipped my desktop over and then I have clamped my drawer box down upside down so that I can actually screw through the top of our drawer box into the underside of the desktop to secure them together. And this is why I just screwed and no glue so that I can actually take the bottom off so that screwing them together will be much easier. Hey. Oh my God, you guys, the desktop is looking incredible. So with that done, that's a little bit of relief for me because that was one of the sort of major obstacles I was anticipating. And now I can move on to cutting the rest of the wood for our shelves. So I cut out the basic pieces to my cubby hidden storage, but it's looking very basic. Another throwback to a past TSG project is the robot bar cart that had a slanted body cubby for storage. Now, I don't want to do the kind of compound angles that took, but I do think that I can just slant back kind of the top so that the door slants back, and that will look very mid-century modern. Speaking of the robot bar cart, that was a very cool project, and I hope you got the chance to see it, but if you didn't, is it because you weren't subscribed to the channel at the time? That is totally cool, but if you don't want to miss all of the fantastic projects that we have to come, well then, maybe you want to consider subscribing today. It doesn't cost anything and it means so much to us. I'm joining the box together using some pocket holes and screws. And I'm using a continuous hinge that I picked up at the hardware store to attach the door to the box. The hinge was a bit too big, so I did have to cut it down using a metal cutoff tool. But you could use tin snips or a hacksaw instead. Okay, actually, I think I got a lot accomplished today. I'm pretty proud of that. I have probably like 10 minutes worth of energy left. So instead of getting into something new, I think I'm gonna spend that energy tidying up so that I have a nice fresh workshop to come down to tomorrow. So some of you may have noticed that I am a little bit of a fan of the French cleat mounting system. I have definitely used it in a few different applications and particularly down here in the workshop. It is a great simple way for hanging things on the wall and very easily DIYable. It's beautiful, it's simple, and I think this is the mounting system I kind of want to try out for the desk and the cubby, but I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna work. Fingers crossed. So what is a French cleat? It is basically a piece of wood that is rip cut on an angle, which results in two pieces of wood that fit nicely together, meaning you add one side to the wall and one to the item you're hanging, and then they fit perfectly into each other. I'm attaching these to the desk and the storage cubby using some pocket screws. No, that's not right. Hold on, this is not right. Okay, so I started to try and install this the same way I did for the desk, and I realized that is not what I planned to do at all. Because the desk, I had cut out a space for the strapping, I was able to do the French cleat right onto the back. In this case, that is not gonna work because there's gonna be a gap here. So what I was intending to do was to install this French cleat like this and actually just drill in from the back so that that gap gets filled in. That's what I was supposed to do. So these pocket holes, completely unnecessary. Okay, so originally it wasn't my plan to have this piano hinge showing, but I don't know if this is one of those like Bob Ross happy accidents moments, because the way I've constructed this is that the door just kind of stays open and level. I thought I was gonna need like hinge supports, or my original plan was to put a piece of chain from here to here, kind of like a little drawbridge situation, but I don't know that I need it. And I think it's gonna look better without, so maybe I'll bring the chain with me on the day. So I've got these French cleats attached to the back of my desk, and while I do have a lot of faith in them, I am also paranoid. So I'm not just gonna leave those as the only method of support for this. I think on this side, the fact that the drawer comes down a little bit gives that like leverage for it to rest on, but there's nothing on this side. So I think what I'm gonna do is build a little wooden bracket, kind of taking inspiration from these ones from IKEA. Seems simple enough, and I think it'll just give us the support we need, and then we'll be able to match the wood tone. Are you seeing it? You guys, should I be working for IKEA? So with that done, I think it's time for me to move on to literally nobody's favorite part of a project, which is edge banding, to cover up all of these plywood edges. It's gonna take me quite a while, so I'm gonna hunker down and get her done, and you're welcome to enjoy probably the next 10 seconds of the video that it takes up, so. Okay, so I am not alone at Claire's today. I am actually with a couple of gals who do love styling a good shelf, but before we can get to styling, I kind of have to assemble it. Starting with a thrifted dresser Kelsey brought in today, and it looks in pretty good condition, other than the toe kick portion, which was falling apart. But we knew that, so I had quickly made a new toe kick so that this dresser can last many more years. Next, for the strapping, these are the vertical pieces that the shelves will attach to. First, I mapped out the placement with painter's tape. I'm attaching these to the wall with anchors and screws because this is actually a concrete wall. This anchor kit came with the screws and the drill bit you need. I love these. After making a mess drilling my first hole, I remembered this hack. Just some tape and a piece of paper, and suddenly you're not making a mess anymore. Now it's time to get this desk installed. I did it with the help of Kelsey and Becky.
It's going well.
Woo! Wow! I made this bracket.
You made that?
It was supposed to be like the IKEA bracket, so like a keyhole
Literally,
in it.
Rochelle, it's the same. It's better actually. It's actually better.
I added another 2 strapping pieces and then installed the desk using the French cleat I made. I was so nervous for this part, but it turned out so good. Now for day 2, adding all of the brackets and shelves. I used some painter's tape to map out exactly where I wanted the shelves and then started installing the brackets. How satisfying is seeing these shelves fit perfectly into the brackets? Look at me go, I did that. The last thing to do was to add the French cleat for the cubby and hang it up.
Rochelle, it literally is like the robot bar card.
Now, I hope it's okay because I decided not to
Add the hands. I noticed.
It's a shame, right?
It's so good.
Yay!
She made this. Did you know that?
Now for the final touches. I need to secure all of the shelves to the brackets. Then, to make the drawer on the desk look like the drawers on the dresser, Becky brought me this really similar hardware to install that she already had at home. And I put a matching one on the cubby as well. And with some decor on the shelves, I am ready to show you the final product. Okay, you guys, I cannot believe how amazing this shelving unit turned out, and I can only imagine how awesome the entire space is going to look after Kelsey and Becky have completed the makeover. Stay tuned for next week's video where they do just that and also reveal the whole space to Claire. Bye!